Welcome everyone to the Astral Lane Broadcast, where we're going to discuss what's new in the F&F community and our takes on game development, music, and more. So first of all, I just want to introduce my co-host, Far Galaxy.
Hello.
And we have a special guest today, the Pro Tools wizard himself, Skeletor, Dean, also known as longest solo ever, is joining us today.
Skeletor.
First thing I want to address, man, I've been watching what you're doing, and I gotta say, you've made the best transition out of the F&F community that I've ever seen. It's crazy, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I like that. That's like an admirable goal, is getting the hell out of the F&F community. Congratulations.
It's more just taking that fame that you got from that and kind of steering it elsewhere. That's like a real feat, and I think you found the best way to do it. Obviously it's not going to work for everyone, but it just worked so well for you, and now you're doing even better than you did in F&F.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a very, very intentional thing. I very consciously said I need to stop focusing on Friday Night Funkin' because not that everybody needs to get out of F&F and F&F is dead and no one should do it anymore. But I quit my job to do YouTube and music full time. Mm-hmm. I quit while F&F was on the uptake still, and then it peaked. Mid-fight masses happened, and that was the absolute Mount Everest peak of my channel and what it's ever done. And then it dropped down from there, and I haven't had a video as big as Casanova or Zavadilla since then.
Yeah.
And after about a year of that, I was like, all right, I can see where this ship is going. And on top of that, I've said this before, I was starting to feel like a vending machine for Friday Night Funkin' covers. Every single week.
Whatever video orders, you just got to spit it out.
I did weekly videos for a year and a half straight.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Weekly cover songs, producing the whole thing and shooting video and editing it. And it was like an assembly line by the end of it. It was the same process every single time.
Yeah.
And the songs were getting less physically playable by humans. We know what songs.
Yeah.
We know the difference between
Triple Trouble.
Yeah, Smoke 'Em Out Struggle to Triple Trouble is a very different world. Not that I don't love Marstar Bros' work, but and even Triple Trouble wasn't that bad compared to a lot of the stuff that was happening by the end of it.
Yeah, me and DPZ were in the car today, and he was playing a Marstar Bros song.
It was not an F&F song though. It was one of his ambient tracks. Oh, yeah, he is definitely very talented, and I think
amazing.
I wish him well in his non F&F journey.
Yes,
but I totally get what you're saying.
I need to hit him up. I've been wanting to work with him on some nerdcore stuff or something sometime.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'd be
more
into
people
that.
Over. But yeah, it was. I saw where my numbers were going, and I was just getting burnt out on the sheer concept of it. I was like, I like writing songs, I like singing. I've been singing covers on this channel for years. Why not try writing some songs with lyrics? And then here's the real other thing. Is for a long time before I was in Friday Night Funkin', I was in the video game music cover world. I was covering Sonic songs, Mega Man, Undertale, all that. And I saw what the biggest numbers that guys in my niche were getting. The biggest players like Richard E.B. and Family Jewels were getting maybe a couple million on their biggest videos. And that's great. That's wonderful, of course. And they're sitting, 500,000 subs. Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful for them. Then you see DA games. You see the Living Tombstone.
Oh, yeah.
And these people are sitting
once you get into that original song area,
20 million, 40 million subs, or no, not that many, I'm sorry. But 20 million, 40 million views on videos. You just you just see how much higher that ceiling can be. And I was like, all right, that's where I got to go next. That's where the next move is. That's where the next big growth opportunity is for me. And that's where the next big artistic opportunity is for me. I can write about anything. I'm happy to write lyrics about literally anything. Mm-hmm. But and I get to write whatever genre of music I want. Like
Yeah,
No
man,
Exit.
you made
that
a song
came out
about the
this week.
goddamn mob vote for God's
Yes,
sakes.
yes, and with the Minecraft like sound font and everything. That was so much
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And then this week's song was like an electro swing thing. The week before that was metal. Like it's anything I want it to be, as long as it's about a trending topic, and I can have fun writing about any topic. So it's a win-win-win for me. And I mean, this week, I don't know if you saw like No Exit this week, like
Yeah, I did see that.
exploded. Like it's literally.
Yeah.
So I said, Zeb,
You hit that at the perfect time.
So I got so lucky, and man, it almost didn't happen. I have this one subscriber who he's literally, shout out to Tercero. He's the guy who 3 years ago was like, hey, there's this thing called Friday Night Funkin'. The song Ugh just came out, and you should probably cover it. I was like, all right, I'll check it out, whatever. And I played it, and I was like, I hate this.
Oh.
What is this? Because I'd never heard like hyperpop before. I'd never heard like that genre of that sound that Kawaii Sprite was doing at that point. I certainly wasn't expecting the vocal samples. I didn't know the context of what FNF was. So I was just like, what the hell is this, man? And then I covered it, and it did like 1 million views that night. And I was like, oh, I guess this is what I'm doing now.
I guess people actually like this.
Yeah, and I grew to love it, of course. Like Week 7 is like one of my favorite things in video games now, by far. Guns is
I
still
still
like a
really do
fucking
love those songs.
masterpiece. Yeah. But
Yeah, they're charming.
But this past week, same guy who's now like one of my best friends on here, he was like, "Hey, Digital Circus, man, you should probably at least watch it." It's like, all right, I've been putting it off for like a week, whatever. Everyone's talking about it. I'm on like a FNAF kick right now. Not the movie, but Ruin, because I'm 3 months late to everything. And he's like, "Hey, Digital Circus, I watch it." I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing." Okay, and then I wrote the entire song that day, and I put it out like 2 days later.
Yeah, I saw that. I kept checking Twitter, and every time I checked, it was like, someone needs to stop me. I can't stop.
Can't stop writing. It just poured out of me. Sometimes like I said, the hyper focus just lines up and it works.
Yeah,
and
the flow state.
Yeah. And that is on track to be my biggest video ever and my biggest song ever. I looked back at Zavadilla's first 24 hours and Casanova's first 24 hours. Both of those videos are sitting at like 7 million views right now. And it's outperforming both of those by 3 times.
Holy shit.
So it's looking good. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I think like the way it worked for you is really nice because like initially the fans of like nerdcore, like Living Tombstone, DA Games shit has a lot of crossover with the fans of FNF.
Yes.
And so that allowed you to kind of retain like some level of popularity through there. And then once you really started getting into the nerdcore shit, then you start to build your own audience outside of FNF because your music is kind of like presented to all the people that watch those channels, like
exactly
because it's so similar.
And that really my first very intentional step in nerdcore. First 2 big songs in nerdcore, very, very intentionally chosen. Mandela Catalog, because Funkdela Catalog was huge at the time. That was the big mod of the week when I put out Intruder. And Intruder's another one I did in like 3 days. I did not sit on that for long. And I was like, what's the biggest thing in FNF right now that I can write about? Mandela Catalog. I'll go check what that is. And I watched it, and I loved it, and I made Intruder. And then, like a month later, Sonic.exe was exploding. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And and I admittedly ripped off Mars Starbro for that. Play with me is very much just too slow, and then you can't run, but that's okay. And
I did actually start to notice something when I was like looking at the comments of Play With Me. That I think that was the moment where you started to attract like a new audience that wasn't FNF fans, because I saw some people in those comments that were talking about how like you were really faithful to like the original creepypasta.
Yes, and that is something I did. I really wanted to do was not tie it to FNF. I wanted to go back to the source, and that's what I always do with these is take it back to the source. of the creepypasta. If you watch my songwriting streams, like we have the wiki page up, we have the original creepypasta up, we read the whole thing start to finish, and then I'll start writing from there. But it's the only part that FNF plays into it, or at least played into it early on, was, is this a trending topic in FNF right now? And it was for Hypno's Lullaby at the time when I did Hypnosis, and so on.
Yeah, like it's very strategic, very planned out,
Yeah.
very intentional.
It definitely feels like
go ahead.
you have a lot more creative freedom with what you make now compared to like
so much.
just compared to like hyper focusing on FNF stuff.
And it's, for one, FNF is really, there's trends, but those trends are so specific. If you think about how long we sat with Genesis samples, I feel like we're just like $17 is the first thing to make us like recover from that a little bit.
Yeah, true.
That's what
And now
we've
it's
been saying.
Jersey Club beats. In every
Yes, yeah, which
song.
is great. That's awesome. I love it. But it was like Marstar Bro, he like, God bless him, amazing work. But he hit it so hard that none of us could even use other patches for like a year.
Yeah, he changed the game.
Yes, he changed the game, and that game was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I love that it really does open me up. There's no, like, the trend right now is, it was FNAF and now it's Digital Circus right now, at least in my corner of nerdcore. But that doesn't mean it has to sound like something specifically. It can sound like anything.
Yeah. It's like the lyrics will be focused on that, and you can
Right.
kind of use that as like a attention grabbing point, but the song itself can be like really whatever you want.
Exactly. And it's funny you mentioned that like I'm one of the only ones to get out of FNF and into nerdcore, but like Jake Neutron is doing amazing work too.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Shout him out. And
I actually was considering asking him to get on the podcast at one point as well.
Oh yeah, you should. Yeah, absolutely. And then Rec D as well, who was doing the FNF with lyrics stuff, is now just like also just straight up writing original songs, and they're great.
Yeah, that's awesome. They're definitely like, yeah, there's definitely like, if you're really strategic about it, you can get out of the community. It's really funny to me how often people are like, I'm done with FNF, and then the next day they're back.
I never
Yeah,
said I didn't say
I
that
don't
until
wanna-
a year later.
I don't want to sway
have
too
to
much
let
off
it
topic,
happen.
but like,
Uh-huh.
what do you think the biggest like cause for people coming back is? Maybe just like not diving in.
I mean, it's
like,
a good
knowing
game
what to
and a
expect.
good scene. That's why. Like the real reason is you don't have to leave. You don't like
Yeah.
I'm talking to you guys. I'm not like, I didn't disavow FNF. I still love everyone. Like BB Panzu put out an amazing video yesterday. Did anybody watch Doritos and Fritos?
I'm not like super. I don't follow BB Panzer super closely.
You should. It's so good. Super good. Like
May have to check
Homestuck
it out.
animation. But anyway, why do people keep coming back? Because there's something here. You know, we're all here for a reason. We all got so into it for a couple years for a reason. We're all, God willing, still waiting for the base game to come out sometime. in about a
Yeah, I
century.
forget that's like
Yeah.
actually
Right?
like there's a base game.
Me too. It's amazing how hard this modding scene just co-opted the ownership of this game. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think the real reason is that nobody ever needs that. Leaving is a very performative, attention grabbing thing.
Yes.
If you have
I
to
think
shout,
what happens,
I'm
they-
leaving, and run out the door, like you wanted people to look at you leaving out the door. If you just
Yeah.
slink
Yeah.
out if you just Irish goodbye like me, and go make nerdcore for a bit, poke your head back in the door, say, hey, how's everyone doing in here? I was away for a while. What's up? Like, it's
and
okay.
DPZ used this to describe something the other day, and it's kind of been stuck in my head. It's like, it's when little kids are like, I'm running away, and
Yes.
they just get up the block and then they come back.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's like they're just in that moment, they're kind of really angry and like they want to make some defiant move. But then, like soon after that, they're like, okay, that was not really smart.
Right.
Like I
When
kind
the
of
real
overreacted.
answer is you shouldn't. And okay, so this I'm gonna get like kind of heady with it here, but
Feel
this
free.
is something I talk a lot about in. I see like a coach every week, just like they're a creator coach with Healthy Gamer. They're so good. Um,
Hmm.
but something we talk about a lot is whether you're being motivated by external forces of avoidance. Like, am I trying to avoid something, or am I pursuing something that brings me joy? Am I avoiding pain or pursuing fulfillment and joy? And when you leave FNF because you're mad and this sucks and everything, that's avoiding, and you're not running towards anything. Whereas me, I was like, hey, nerdcore looks fun as hell. I'm going to go do that. And then I go do that. It's so much better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like you see a goal that's beyond what you're doing right now and you pursue that instead of saying I don't like what I'm doing right now, so I'm just going to not do that.
Yeah, just burn it down. That's not getting you anywhere. That's costing you what you have, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
So,
I think where I'm at with FNF, and I'm sure Far can kind of agree with this, though he didn't really work on as many other mods. Like I worked on a lot of mods.
yeah.
I'm at the point now where I get less enjoyment out of working on other people's projects, but I still am really like passionate about the Astral Lane projects. Like we have some, stuff planned. We have like kind of a bunch of characters that interact with each other in like a whole world. So
Sweet.
it is really like fun to just come up with like ideas for stuff, for like little mini stories that we can do and sort of connect everything together.
Fit them into a
And just
timeline.
FNF is just like, obviously we're not gonna just do FNF mods with these characters and stuff because they can go further than that. But FNF is just a good medium because at the end of the day, making an FNF mod's pretty damn easy. Like I did it by
Oh,
myself at one point.
It's
And
such a good like testing ground for stuff. I love
yeah,
it.
and there's always going to be an audience for it as well. Like if you just go and make a game, like obviously people are going to play your game, but the chance of somebody playing your game is honestly less than somebody playing your FNF mod because the amount of FNF mods out there is a lot less than the amount of games out there.
That, and there's no friction. You already know how to play FNF. You already know what you're getting
Yeah.
out of an FNF mod.
You know exactly what you're going to get into pretty much.
A game can be anything. A game could be complete garbage. Even the worst FNF mod is still,
The gameplay
hit
is going to be the
arrows
same.
and
Like,
there's
yeah.
music playing probably.
Yeah. And if you like that, then you're going to like every FNF mod to an extent.
Exactly. Yeah, that's such a good point about why that's probably part of why the mod community exploded so much is it's really easy to make mods and it's so easy to connect with these mods.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now,
You mentioned that you find it hard to like work on other people's projects now, but you enjoy working on your own. And I think
yes.
that motivation is like that's something I had to find and learn to, I don't want to say cultivate, but like really, really filter things down to only what is bringing me joy and closer to my goals.
Yeah.
There are so many. I'm such a yes man. I am such a like, I can totally do that for you. I'm the guy you need for that. Like, bring me on. I could do everything on this. Totally. And then I completely overload myself and I'm miserable.
Yeah.
But
no, I get that feeling.
But at the beginning of your career, you need to say yes to everything. And I needed to say yes to everything from like 15 to like 25, probably. And then
it's going to be to your advantage in the end.
Yes, because you're going to learn skills, you're going to make connections, and that's great. And then at a certain point, those skills and connections will start to outnumber like what you can actually physically do in a day. And that's the point where you start needing to say no more than yes. And you need to
you can be more
say
selective.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm now no to like 99 out of 100 things when it comes to other people. And now I'm getting to the point where I start have to say no to myself too. I'm realizing like I was talking about it with someone this morning that like I'm working on a couple FNAF songs right now that, and hell, I have a Lord X song I've been sitting on for like months that people are really pestering me about releasing.
Yeah, people do not leave you alone about that.
I know. but like here's the thing. There's not a Lord X animated short that got 35 million views in the last week right now, but Digital Circus did. And even FNAF, like the FNAF movie came out and that's great. I have 2 Ruin songs I wrote though. And Ruin is not trending right now, so I don't need to push those, but I could write another Digital Circus song. So it's really like really taking time to figure out what's going to be the big swing you could take right now to take you from 300K to 3 million, you know? And that's the only kind of swing I have time for anymore. If it's just a move that's going to take me from 300K to even 310K, it's literally not worth my time, you know? When I could be, when there's a bigger swing I could take. And that's the thing that when I talk to smaller YouTubers who are grinding away, trying to get, okay, 200 views on this next video, and then 300 views on this next video. And like, this is the harsh thing I say sometimes, but in my opinion, when it comes to YouTube, either you're getting like million view videos or you're not. And you can swing for those big videos, or you can grind out forever and ever and ever on the small ones and get big eventually. And that's what I did for the first 15 years of my channel, was grinding out these little like 5K view videos, which is great. It's fine. And if you're doing this for fun, that's amazing and I love it. But if you're trying to make this your career, which is always going to be the context I'm approaching talking about this from, but if you're trying to make this your career, you need to be taking those big, like 100 times swings.
Yeah, you got to be watching the trends.
Yes, watching the trends, making a video that is so unbelievably, oh my God, I have to click that or I'm going to die, or you don't have it.
Yeah, because
So
really the only thing that matters is like if people see your thumbnail and be like, I want to click that.
Exactly. And it really comes down to respecting the viewer's time. I talk to so many new creators. I have so many in my Discord. We have a really, really supportive community, all talking about like creating music and creating videos there. And the thing I have to say to people most is think about the person scrolling through YouTube. They have limited time in their day. It's after school or it's after work. They only have an hour tonight to watch YouTube videos. Why should they spend it with you? Are you respecting their time over the millions of other videos they could be watching? Or did you, fumble your way through a 5-minute intro of your video and not really be clear about what the video is even about? And not put a thumbnail on it that clearly describes what that thing is? Why would someone spend their very, very precious limited time on something they're not sure is going to make them happy?
Yeah, and if they feel like, they really got their money's worth or their time's worth, I mean, then they will consider, subscribing to you and be like, okay, this person's like really... Because that's how I like. You got to just think about how you are when you go on YouTube. Like,
yes,
if I'm really into the kind of like 5 to 10 minute videos. I mean, I'll watch the longer ones, but like if somebody makes a video about something and like can really get it done in like efficient amount of time, and it's like clean editing, they don't ramble on about random stuff, then I'm like, damn, that was satisfying to watch. Like that was really enjoyable, and I don't feel like I sat there just like while this person droned on. So I'm like really interested in watching more of their videos because they clearly know, what they're doing.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to, is everyone asks for like, what's the secret to the YouTube algorithm? What's this hack I can do? does the algorithm hate me? Does the algorithm like me? The thing I always say is that the algorithm is just people. Do people like
Yeah.
your videos? Are people watching your videos? Are people clicking on your videos? Yes? Good. You get more views. That's it. That's all it ever is. Make videos for people, and they will watch them. And if they don't watch them, you've got to figure out why. It's either the packaging or the video itself.
Yeah, there's always gonna be a reason. Like one thing, like I've made a couple videos that are not, just my songs. I want to make more in the future, but obviously the most significant one was the like FL trial video, and I think I have like a good title and a good thumbnail, and I mean it got some views, but I think the main reason why it didn't get that many views is just because it's 45 minutes long, and like a lot of people just, I think it's just a truth that a lot of people are going to see a 45-minute video and be like, I don't want to watch that right now.
That is such a tricky thing, because yeah, like I see. So I just pulled it up out of curiosity, and that's a great thumbnail. That's a great title. I would expect that to be like an 8-minute video. Yeah. But there is like a 45-minute video you could make there. If it were maybe more of an instructional, is it an instructional thing?
It's more of like you see like my whole journey. So you like most of the video is kind of the process of me making all the songs and like the kind of hurdles I had to jump through using the trial version, and also some of my like communication with people I was commissioning. So I didn't want it to be like an informative video. I wanted it to be more of just like an entertaining video. But yeah, I was considering splitting it into parts, but I don't think that would be the best idea.
What is the end? I want to dig into this real quick. What's the end result of the video? Like, what's the big payoff?
So the point of it was, my friend Mino, he like wanted to, buy FL Studio, but he didn't have the money for it like at that time. And so I was like, you know what? We were thinking about like, could you just use the free version and just like do commissions and then make enough money to buy it? And I was like, you know what? Because I was like, this seems doable. Like thinking about it, I was like, I could probably do that. Obviously I have a platform already, so I can get commissions more easily. But once again, it was more for the entertainment value and less for the actual like plausibility of it for someone else.
I love
it. But yeah, that is how I started the video, was talking about that whole thing.
Okay, that's such a good hook. That's such a good video concept, and it pays off. You do manage to like make the money to buy the software, right? Yeah. I mean,
yes.
If you tease that hook up front, but don't tell them whether or not you actually succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really think you could recut this down. Like you already have the video, recut it down to like 8 minutes tops, and this is like a 1 million view video here.
So yeah, one thing I definitely wanted to talk about with you, because I know you're very passionate about this, or at least you come across that way, is the whole DAW Wars situation. Like, I literally we were like on Discord earlier. We saw you were in Pro Tools, and then we saw you were in Ableton, and we were making jokes. But like, the way I see it is like, all the DAWs kind of have different strengths, but do you think there is like some validity to like a lot of the arguments people have between like FL Studio and Ableton and Logic and like Pro Tools?
Yeah, the validity is that I'm right about FL Studio. No. I mean, I said everything I could ever say about FL Studio in that one video. And
yep.
Man, the comment section on that, I think the comment section on that is like karmic retribution for the fact that my comments on all of my videos throughout my entire life have been amazingly positive. That one video, every single comment is like a 10-page diatribe about what an absolute idiot I am. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's like you get to a point where like that shit just doesn't get to you. It's like
Absolutely.
Like you knew you were gonna offend people, but
Absolutely.
like
I leaned into it. It was great.
Yeah, you said what you said.
Yes.
You agree with it. You stand by what you said.
So as for how I feel about the differences between them, for one, as far as sound goes, there is no difference in sound between any DAW. They're all just adding numbers together, and numbers sound the same no matter how you add 2 plus 2. The workflow and the capabilities of them is the big difference. And then I also think it's worth including like their stock sounds and effects and stuff for sure. I mean, FL Studio, I will give it awesome collection of synthesizers and decent effects. I think Logic cleans house with everyone else.
Oh, absolutely.
As far
Logic
as
has the
instruments
best
go,
stock sounds by far.
Logic has like basically all of like Contact and Complete in it built in effectively. Like with the number of instruments they have. I'm playing a cover band show tomorrow, which I never ever do, but I'm playing one. And I'm playing keyboards on it, and all I'm bringing is Logic and just the stock sounds.
They just got enough shit like it's stocked up in there.
Exactly. But and then on the other end of it, like Ableton and Pro Tools, I don't think have very capable instruments in terms of like modern production. Ableton's pretty cool.
It's got cool effects. I don't think the instruments and like the stock samples are very good in my experience.
I'm with you. Yeah. As for workflow, which is the most important thing to me, because
definitely.
I'm very rarely working with stock anything. I'm usually, no matter what DAW I'm in, I'm using Serum, I'm using splice samples, and I'm using the Slate and Isotope mixing tools. And so it's really, what it really comes down to is what does working in this DAW feel like? And what it mostly, the dichotomy between, you said I was in, Ableton and Pro Tools, and I live like 50-50 in the two of those. Ableton is by far the best for working with MIDI and with, and I have to make a distinction here, with samples, not recorded audio, but like samples in the sense of like hip hop sampling and drum samples and stuff. Like, it's so good at flipping around samples and messing with them and warping them. Its warping algorithm is bar none. And it's amazing with that. Its MIDI capability goes so far beyond what anything else can do. Pro Tools, on the other hand, if I'm recording audio, if I'm recording live guitars, if I'm recording live vocals, I have to do it in Pro Tools, because with the keyboard shortcuts on there, with the cutting and sliding tools, when I'm producing stuff to like the level of pop polish that I'm going for, everything needs to be flawlessly on time and in tune. And that means cutting up every single word in my vocal track and nudging it so it's on the grid, especially in like this week. That was like a super crazy fast rap, and I'm like pretty on time, but it's double tracked, so it's two vocals needing to be in flawless sync with each other. And I can't do that in 24 hours. So you need to be able to cut and slide the audio a little bit. And while I'm sure you can do that in FL Studio, like, you snip the audio clip and you slide it a little bit off the grid, sure. In Pro Tools, if you watch like a master Pro Tools user who knows their keyboard shortcuts, their hands do not leave the keyboard. And what you see on screen is like just lightning. It's insane.
I had a professor that was teaching like a Pro Tools class, and that's how he was. Like, he could barely even keep up like explaining what he was doing while he was doing it.
Exactly. It's just so it's so stupid, but it's in the name. It's the professional tool for really digging in deep with audio and doing what you need to do to it. So my workflow is usually, if it's a metal track, I do the whole thing in Pro Tools. If it's an EDM track, I'll produce it in Ableton, bring it over to Pro Tools, record the vocals, edit it, and mix it all in Pro Tools. This week,
that makes sense.
And that's just me. You can totally do it all in Ableton. And actually, this week's song, I mixed in Ableton. I did the vocals in Pro Tools, but I brought them back into Ableton because I was just like, I don't have time, whatever. And I mixed the whole track in about 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
because I just didn't have time to overthink it.
Yeah, and you're familiar enough with the workflow to just get it done.
Yeah, but not even that. Like, I do usually spend longer on mixes. I'll usually spend maybe 3 or 4 hours minimum. Sometimes like a full day on like a big metal track. But this was just like, this is all drum samples and serum samples, and everything's basically pre-mixed. I don't need to mess with this. I'm just gonna make it worse. I'm gonna put one EQ on the synths, cut some mids out so the vocals have room. I'm gonna put OTT on there and call it a day. That's it.
Like,
and it sounds
it's
good.
really easy to overthink a mix. Like, something I've learned from producing for like several years now is that I'm just more and more often using like at this point my mixes are like 90% EQs and compressors and then 10% like everything else.
Yeah, all the stuff people get so hung up on, and this is a lot more in, I see this in the metal world and the rock world, people getting really obsessed with like, oh man, I use a multiband compressor sidechain to the vocals so it triggers a cut in the mid-range when the vocals pass 500 hertz. And I'm just like, listen to it. Can you hear the difference? Could you have just cut it out with the
And are the people
EQ?
listening to your song going to hear the difference?
Right.
Yeah.
I no longer, I used to obsess over EQing for tone. I used to sit there with a guitar tone and try to just carve out the most flawless guitar tone that sounds perfect. But the truth is, you can't actually hear a guitar tone in a mix. All I try to do now in a mix is make sure you can hear everything clearly. The only thing I bring an EQ out for is to get something out of the way of something else.
Yeah.
And that's it. I no longer worry about tone because everything sounds so good now. You drop splice samples, you drop any contact stuff, anything we're working with now sounds automatically better than, when these practices of EQing the hell out of everything, when that was all these traditions were built, this was in the time where you had like a crappy microphone, in the 60s pointed at a broken guitar amp. Like, that's, you were working with such raw sound. Everything we're using now is polished out of the gate. Drum samples are pre-mixed. Guitar amp simulators sound incredible out of the gate. And I barely have to touch a thing. It's great.
Yeah, so don't touch a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't overthink it. We've come up with some words. I don't know if you've heard them thrown around because we've tried to we kind of spread them around. Yeah,
probably.
Should I start with the first one?
Please.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
Hex bugs.
Oh,
yeah,
I know what this is. Hang on. Are those? Shoot, I saw that word. Is that?
Oh,
shit. What is it? It's something to do with charting, right?
Not exactly. It has to do with vocals, like in FNF songs.
Is it like a vibrato thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So specifically what a hex bug is it's like a really fast and like exaggerated vibrato that's like unrealistic.
Sure.
And it's just something that I picked up on after a while of listening to music. I was like, they keep doing these crazy vibratos. Like I understand putting vibrato on the vocals because it's like it makes it more dynamic and interesting, and that's what singers actually do.
Yeah.
But it got to a point real quickly where they were doing it to the point where it was like the Snapchat alien filter. It like didn't sound human anymore.
Yeah.
And it started to like get on my nerves. I was like, this is kind of like I don't like this. It like, cause in the moment that I recognized what it was, it like, I couldn't go back. Cause I was like, almost every song has this.
Yep. I would admit,
we came up with a name
vibrato
for it.
in mine. I put vibrato on all my chromatics.
But I mean, I put vibrato on my shit too. It's not it's not using vibrato that's the problem. It's be aware of how much you're using and does it even sound realistic?
Right. Make it tasteful. That's what it comes.
Yeah, make it tasteful, exactly. And yeah, so that's what hex bugs are. And we came up with that term. I thought it was funny. Like Far came up with that. I'm pretty sure and so we just say it a lot and like trying to like spread it around.
It got to me. Yeah.
Especially in like FL Studio, if you look at the like MIDI for it, like A lot of times it looks like it has little legs sticking off of like.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because you put those little slide
on either
notes.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the name comes from. So yeah, that's one of the the other thing, one of the other ones we came up with is melody soup, which is something that I've kind of that's
Okay.
kind of been like a. Do you think do you know what that means?
We
No,
brought it
but
up
there's a
earlier.
similar term in the metal world. So explain what melody soup is. I'm curious.
We
Okay.
brought it up kind of a little bit earlier, like notes for the sake of notes or for the sake of charting, and not having any
Yeah.
like coherent
That's
melodies.
That's a part
that
of
are-
it. Really, to me, what melody soup is it's when a melody gets to a point where you can't, like, your brain just kind of zones out and loses focus of it.
Yes.
Like it gets too complicated that you can't follow it anymore. Or what something that happens a lot is there's two melodies going at once that are equally important. And so your brain doesn't know which one to focus on.
Yep.
And that so many FNF songs do that. And I just notice I'm like,
Well, they do.
I'm
because of
zoned
Triple
out.
Trouble. That's why.
yeah,
Triple
Triple
Trouble's
Trouble
the
does
only
it.
one to pull it off. But
And did it for so much of the song
Yes.
is both of them singing at once. But Mars Turbo at least understands like how to make the melodies kind of play against each other. So it's like, okay, in this moment I'm focusing on Boyfriend. In this moment I'm focusing on Sonic.
exactly.
And like
they,
one of them's kind of being like the background and
they
kind of adding
complement
to the
each
other
other.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a melody and a
But a lot of
counter
people
melody.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't really see that. So they're just like, I just have to have two melodies at once.
Right.
And yeah. So it kind of just goes in both my ears and kind of just is just mush. It's
Absolutely.
like that's where
So-
the melody soup comes from.
the word we have in the metal world is riff salad, which is
oh my gosh.
it's so it's like food name anyway. It's funny to me. Riff salad is in like a in a traditional pop song form. You have your verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, right?
Yeah.
And when we're analyzing things in terms of song form, we use letters to refer to each section. So verse, chorus would be like A, B, A, B. So
Yeah.
typical pop song, A, B, C, B, right?
Yep.
Riff salad is when it's more like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and just you
yeah.
just keep introducing new sections.
You don't ever
And-
go back to something.
Yes. And that's something I found with a lot of beginning composers in FNF.
They're scared of
is-
repetition.
Yeah, they're scared of repetition, or it's a. It's a
Yeah,
it's a
that does
5
happen
minute long 4-bar loop.
Yeah. I really I'm glad that we've kind of come to like the same conclusions about FNF music.
Yes,
Like-
yes, absolutely. I think any like more experienced composer has to feel that way about it, because you don't
Yeah.
get to that point without learning a lot of stuff along the way and realizing that, like, hey, the reason every pop song has the same structure is because it really, really works. The reason,
Yeah, and it really nails this
Yeah.
hook down in your head so you remember
Yes.
the song.
Yeah, it drills it into your brain.
right,
You cannot
but
forget
with
it.
just the right balance of repetition and new material throughout it. Like it's riding that perfect balance. Just like in a video game, you don't want to be too easy or too hard. You want to ride that like flow state in the middle when you're
Yeah.
designing a game. A song should be the same thing. You don't want to be too repetitive, but you don't want to also just be riff salad throwing new information at someone for 5 minutes straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one I definitely look back at my own songs and try to see what have I done right, what can I improve on, and something that I noticed is my song Billionaire Brawl, which I just released a version 2 of it.
Nice.
I think that's a good example of a song that has a hook that gets in your head.
Yes.
Because it's almost sometimes you feel bad about how much you kind of use the same thing, but you got to think about that's the core of my song, so I want the song to kind of be built around that. So there is kind of a chorus section which repeats twice, but also there's a few different points where there's a variation on that chorus melody that comes in later and different sort of takes on it.
That's
And the
awesome.
song overall is not too long, so it doesn't go in that many places.
Yeah.
And I think those things all kind of come together to make it a catchy song. And obviously I don't do that in every song because I fully mastered that concept. But that's definitely if you are a beginning composer, that's something that you can sort of learn from is don't be shy, like don't be scared of, repeating your idea and kind of having one idea like dominate your song, because you want somebody, they're not going to remember the entire song unless they listen to it a million times. So you want something that they're going to remember like the first time they listen through, and you kind of have to drill it in their head.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing that I did want to talk about with you, which is another thing that I know you're very passionate about, is AI. And obviously there's a lot of
I
controversy
don't want
with
to say
AI.
very passionate about that's.
I mean, yeah,
Is that part of my brand?
But like,
I do talk about it a
No,
lot. I do talk about it a lot.
you do talk. Yeah, it's just something that you have talked about a lot that I
feel
know
like
you
you're more-
have like a clear opinion on.
I feel like you're more optimistic about the idea than like
Yeah.
people who immediately shut it down.
I am.
Yes.
Especially early on, before I was like a real early adopter of a lot of stuff, as I am with like any tech. I'm always just like looking at what's going on, and so I was messing around with like GPT long before ChatGPT came out, with Stable Diffusion, before
Oh yeah.
like all of this stuff was happening. So just because I'm fascinated by what it can do, so yeah, I'll say like right out the gate, I didn't replace my artist friends with AI art. I don't use AI art in final products, with the exception of very early on, like the Play With Me thumbnail is AI art. That was Midjourney. Again, before like anyone was actually talking about it, before there were the discussions of the ethics of it and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't want to use stolen artwork or stuff that was trained on stolen art, and so I'm not using that. The only AI art I use in any final products, and in any final like product, is the Photoshop one. I will very, very rarely use to fill in, like if I need to expand out a crop on a photo or a piece of artwork or something, I will, get a few extra pixels out of it using that.
Yeah, and that's like there's no other better way to do that, really.
Exactly. I've also used some more like kind of unorthodox ways of using it. The Code Red music video, the middle section. I don't know if you've seen it, where I'm like,
yeah, I did a while back.
I'm like all red and pastel, like plain, like flat red colors, and like pixelated and stuff. And the way I got that effect was I fed the footage through Stable Diffusion, not actually using it to generate anything, but there's a preprocessor in there that can detect the outlines of everything using an AI algorithm. So I did that to get an outline of the whole thing, get line art of that, pulled it back into Photoshop, painted in all the red and everything, and then used a different AI tool, a much older one called EB Synth. I don't know if anyone remembers like those old Joel Haver videos, like where he's inside an RPG and everything, and it looks like crazy old rotoscope
I think I have
cartoons.
seen those. Yeah.
So he uses EB Synth, and basically what it does is you can have video footage, you paint over one frame whatever you want it to look like, and it'll extrapolate that through the rest of the footage. So I did that. I would paint in like 10 keyframes out of the 500 frames of the footage, and then EB Synth would interpolate between them. So like that's how I'm using AI art technically, but it's not in the sense of like type in prompt and get image. It's like I'm using it as one very tiny cog in a thing where I'm doing 99% of the work, and it's just saving me a lot of tedium.
Yeah, which, if I'm not mistaken, you wrote like a Blender script or something not too long ago using AI.
Oh,
which just like overall saved you time, but
So
the
good,
idea of it being AI just immediately people shut down.
That pissed off so many. like Nebula came after me so hard to just but
Yeah, it's
like,
like
just Google it. I like, okay, but when I have so little time, and if there is a thing I can ask for the answer that I know will give me the answer, instead of searching through 10 pages of Stack Overflow to maybe get the answer, or maybe just to find someone say, I solved it, and then never actually write how they figured it out, which is the case 9 times out of 10. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. And I know enough about programming. I've been coding since I was like 9. I just don't happen to know the Blender Python library. And ChatGPT does. So I asked it how to, in this case, it was like I was doing a Minecraft video, and I needed to change every texture out of like hundreds that it imports every single time I'd import a map. I needed to change every single image texture in every material to be like pixelated, so it wasn't blurry. And I just asked I asked ChatGPT, like, hey, can you write a Python script for Blender to change every image texture to nearest neighbor interpolation or whatever? And it was like, yeah, here you go. And I pasted it in, and it worked in one click. And I'm like, hell yes, this is amazing. And I don't think anyone's ever needed to do that. So like, I don't know if there'd be a thing for that. I have it write scripts for me all the time. Even just today, I'm putting together a Digital Circus music video, and I have all these textures that I got for the characters, and I needed them all prefixed with like the character name. But there's like a dozen texture files in each of these folders. So I'm like, just write me a script that'll prefix every single image file in each of the folders in this directory with the name of that directory. And I hit one button, and then it goes, okay, Kinger eyes, Kinger body, Kinger legs, Kinger feet, Pomni eyes, Pomni body, like, it saves me so much time, so much stupid time. But what I really love it for is I use it so much in the songwriting process, not to just be like, hey, I'm writing a song about FNAF, write me a FNAF song. Although I totally could, and it writes pretty decent lyrics.
They're usually pretty cheesy, but
super cheesy. Decent if you prime it with something like, here's what my lyrics usually sound like, and then I paste in 5 of my songs. I've tested this out just out of curiosity. But what I do use it for is, for example, I was writing about Eclipse from FNAF Ruin. So I take every Eclipse wiki page out there and every FNAF Ruin page out there, and I paste the contents of those wikis into ChatGPT. I say, here is everything you need to know about Eclipse from FNAF Ruin and the whole plot of the game. Can you give me 50 words that are related to 50 lyrical sounding words that are related to this character? And then can you give me like 20 short phrases of like 3 words that can also spark ideas? And now I just have this word bank to pull from, and that makes the songs just flow so quickly. It gets you away from a blank page immediately, because you can take any one of those phrases, and I never even use them word for word. I'll take them and be like, oh, that reminds me of these words I could use instead. Like it just provides such a spark. I like ChatGPT because it's the best idiot for bouncing ideas off of. Like, it's so stupid, but you can tell it anything. It'll never judge you, and it will always spit back like 10 times more information than you gave it, which will make you think of other things. It's great.
Yeah, we have a friend who definitely like uses it a lot, and definitely does
exactly
like
who you're talking about.
Yeah, like our friend Mino, he's like, he's besties with ChatGPT. Like the way that he talks to like AI is so like friendly and like conversational. It's
I
really
say
funny.
Please and thank. It's so stupid.
It's like,
I
it's not a
genuinely
real
think
person.
it makes it work better though, because it.
Like, how's your day going?
Yes. But if you think about it, it's trained on human language, and humans perform better when you're nice to them. So like, it's not a stretch to say it would pull from better data in there if you're nice to
Possibly.
it.
That's
But
possible,
I think more it's more just like deep human like reflexes personifying this thing in a bad
Yeah,
way.
that's what I feel like it is for him.
But
It's just funny
Yeah.
to like
But
watch him
yeah,
talk to the AI.
if I had to sum up my overall feelings on what we're calling AI in general, which really is not, that's a stupid word for it because it's not artificial intelligence. It's machine learning.
Yeah.
It's generative machine learning is what it is. And I have been around through a lot of changes in the digital world. When I was born, we didn't really have internet. Like, it was around, but we didn't get the internet until I was like 6. Cable internet wasn't even a thing until I was like 12. So I've seen stuff come and go. I was around when Photoshop started coming into play. And my dad is a professional artist, and he was one of the first people to pick up Photoshop. He was like real early adopter. He got him saved up, and we got a Mac in the house as soon as we could, and got Photoshop at home. And I saw him just like be ahead of people because he knew Photoshop inside out, while other photographers were complaining that like, oh, this isn't real photography, this isn't real art, this is ruining the art form of photography. And now it's an essential part of photography, and it can elevate what you do so much. And I'm not saying we should all put down pencils and learn to prompt and everything, but if you look at some of the really advanced tools that are in stuff like Stable Diffusion, there's this other tool called ControlNet. Sorry, it's like 10 o'clock. I can't talk anymore. ControlNet, which like lets you basically like stencil what you want it to generate or alter. And I've seen it used to create things I genuinely don't know how I would make in any other medium. Like stuff that would effectively be a 3D animation that I, as a Blender user of 20 years, would not begin to know how to do. So like I just think, yes, absolutely, we should take care with the source of the training data and make sure that artists are fairly compensated and that they give consent to the training, which that's the situation, to my knowledge, with Adobe. Like, artists are being compensated for that, and they can choose not to be trained on. And that's why I feel comfortable using the Photoshop one in final products. But
yeah.
But if we can get that down, I really think that the skilled artists who also make use of these tools will outperform the ones who don't.
Yeah, it's just has to be just another tool in your arsenal. It's not like
Right.
replacing anything. It's just an addition.
Right. Just like, I mean, man, like DAWs, if you talk to, I don't know if you talk to like old audio, God, please edit me. I don't know if you talk to old audio engineers, but they hate DAWs. They think it ruined music. Like, back in my day, we used tape and you had to cut it by hand. And, we used to mix on the board. There was no automation. You couldn't bring a volume fader up and down. You had to sit there and move it by hand while the tape recorded. And we'd all stand around the board and move it up and down. Like, that just sounds terrible, man. I don't want to go back to that. I'll take Pro Tools any day. I don't care if it's not as warm sounding, man. I can throw slate tape on there and it sounds fine.
Yeah.
That's my take.
So just to wrap things up, we're gonna do kind of a little lightning round. I mean, you've already said a lot of your thoughts on AI, but we just have some like pre-written questions. Just give some brief answers on these.
Hit me.
All right. First of all, what AI tools do you see potential in, and which ones do you think are going to be the most useful to artists?
Okay. I had a huge video on Synplant 2, which I'm actually now wondering if it actually is technically generative AI or not. A lot of comments were yelling at me saying it's not AI, and I haven't looked into it yet. But basically, you can drop any sample into it, and it will make you a synth patch that creates that sample.
Yeah, I watched that video. It's crazy.
Wild. It's like dropping. I said it's like dropping like getting McDonald's and then being able to put it into a box, and have that box spit out the exact recipe. Taking any takeout food, pre-cooked, put it in a box and get the recipe. And it's crazy. Stable Diffusion is open source and incredibly, incredibly powerful. For, like I said, especially with ControlNet, is a wild, wild tool. That's the thing that I use to generate the line art on Code Red, like I said. Like it could do so many utilitarian things like that, and like upscaling things really effectively without like artifacts. Super, super cool. And then, and I mean, obviously ChatGPT, like that's ChatGPT and similar LLMs like that. Like Bard is actually pretty cool with some stuff from Google. It's still pretty janky in a lot of spots, but the fact that it can interface with YouTube is really interesting. And there's also a local LLM that I like. Ooba I forget. It's got a stupid name. But I've been using it to like run basically ChatGPT locally for a secret live stream project I'm working on.
All right, cool. So
Okay.
Far's gonna hit you with the next question.
Okay.
So, at what point do you think like AI is too integrated or like integral to how or to someone's workflow, that it makes the work that they're making not theirs anymore?
I think
like, could you give like a percentage to that? Like, how much, like AI work is being inputted compared to how much? Yeah.
I think more than the actual percentage of the output, it's whether or not the person can do that thing without AI, whether the person has the knowledge of how to do that thing. Because I guarantee you, a true pen and paper artist who has an eye for incredible visuals, and the average, tech bro, you sit them both down at, the new Bing AI image creator or whatever, the artist will come out with better stuff 100% of the time.
Yeah. All right. So
yeah.
next question. What do you think of the allegations that you use AI to write all of your music?
Absolutely true. No. I haven't actually seen those allegations. Those would be fun. I want to see those. No, I mean, for one, you can watch the streams where I've written like all my popular songs. And for two, like you can try to get ChatGPT to write a song like mine, and it won't come out the same. Especially, I don't think you could get anything to write the rap I did this week. But and then like AI music is just ass now. Like AI music is so bad. I want it to. I really want it to be good. Like Synplant is the first little snippet of the thing I want to happen. I also want like just a drum sample generator. That'd be fun.
And Synplant can kind of do that, but not quite.
Yeah, it's decent. It's decent. It's weird, but it's decent.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I said, I use it as mostly as an idiot to bounce ideas off of. I really like it for that.
So, what do you think of the allegations that your entire career is built by AI?
It predates AI by about 16 years, so I don't think so. I got 2 million views on a video in 2008, and we didn't have nothing.
Right.
I mean, now there has been some other allegations though, like that are potentially more convincing to me. So, what do you think of the allegations that you are actually a sentient AI?
That is, and just cut it off there. Just cut off the interview there. No,
I got. Oh, are you gonna?
I have no argument against it. I guess no.
No argument. All right. Last thing.
Sounds like a pretty chat.
I think an
GPT
AI would be
response to
more
me.
confident in itself than I am. That's my only. That's my Blade Runner situation.
Time for me to ask. Time for me to ask ChatGPT. What do you think of the allegations that you are a sentient AI?
That'd be a fun. That'd be a fun exercise.
All right, DPZ, do you want to hit him with the last lightning round question?
Oh yeah. All right. So finally, I mean, what do you think of the allegations that you cheated on your wife with Pro Tools?
Absolutely true.
Absolutely true. You heard it here first, guys.
Here we have it, guys.
Here we have
studio
it.
Was right on everything.
We knew the whole time. Allegations were true. LSE canceled.
You got me.
Canceled and also thinks all AI is good and is also an AI himself.
Yeah.
You got me.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna wrap things up there. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. This is really awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah. And yeah, for the people listening, you can check out this podcast on www.astrallane.net/broadcast. You can also check out more episodes there. We also have the podcast on our YouTube channel, and it is on Spotify under Astral Lane Broadcast. And stay tuned for future episodes.
We're not done here. The wheel.
Oh, the wheel? Yes. Okay, listen. So, if you're watching this, you know what day it is. It's November 1st. The time has come. We are going to spin the wheel. So, to those unfortunate mods on that list, now is your time. All right, y'all know what time it is.
Oh.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. Ooh, lovesick melodies.
Better luck next time.
Yeah, you can check us out. Astral Lane on YouTube, Astral Lane on Twitter, Astral Lane on Spotify, www.astrallane.net. You can check out the broadcast there. You can check out our projects there. You can check out the team there. There's news, so you'll stay updated on any new things we're doing, new podcast episodes, new projects. We have a Discord server, Astral Lane community. We may start doing events in there as well, so definitely join up in there.
And we may have some guest callers for some of the next episodes.
Yeah.
So should definitely join up.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching. This is DPZ signing off.
See ya.
Bye.